thank Michelle and her for inviting the Halton Food Council to be involved in this evening's event. Local food, local food systems, sustainable agricultural issues are all important for us here in Halton, as we have come from from an agricultural background, and certainly food is important to everyone here. So what I thought I would do before we start the panel session is just give you a bit of background about who the Halton Food Council is, where we come from, and some of the issues that we've been dealing with that affect the whole Halton area. So the Halton Food Council, I don't want to do a lot of reading here, but really our mission is, we haven't been working on projects specifically, but we're really a group that's got together to encourage, facilitate dialogue and collaboration among any food-related organizations, agencies, and services here in Halton. That includes food producers, distributors, consumers, businesses, and various levels of government. And the purpose is to bring us together to discuss opportunities for action. So the kinds of activities we've been involved in are really networking and education, educating ourselves, the different groups that are belonging to the council, coordinating and analyzing information such as our community food assessment, which we've just completed, looking at some of the benchmarks and targets we want to achieve for a sustainable food system here in Halton. We haven't got to any funding opportunities at this point for the Halton Food Council, but we're really trying to facilitate other groups to look for funding for their specific projects, and we know there's lots happening in Halton already. We've got community gardens, we've got community food centers set up in some of our communities, but there's obviously room for lots more to be happening. And one thing that we'd like to start working on is policy, healthy food policies that promote sustainable food systems here in Halton. Just so that you know, as I said, we are a council of members who represent different organizations, and I just wanted to bring your attention to the different organizations involved. So we have Community Development Halton, the Oakville Sustainable Food Partnership. Susan Curran is here, and Jonathan McNeese, they're both involved in that organization. We have myself, I'm actually a community member. I also happen to be a member of the Halton Health Eating Network, and I am a registered dietitian. We do have a food business represented by Sonia Cote, the Echo Chefs food manufacturing company. We have representation from the Halton Agricultural Advisory Committee, from Halton Food for Thought, and Gail is here at the back, and I'm sure you've had a chance to chat with her about her Food for Thought program, which runs out of our schools, our breakfast and snack programs. Halton Fresh Food Box is in the corner. Brenda Mober is our food coordinator, and she's here to talk about that program, which is a program that provides fresh fruits and vegetable boxes once a month. Over 700 boxes are distributed in our community, with over 50% of those boxes having local foods. In the summer, even more than that. So that's a tremendous program that's bringing access to food to our community, fresh fruits and vegetables. We have the Halton Region Federation of Agriculture represented as well. I'm not sure if Nick is here. He's a farmer from Georgetown. We have the Halton Region Health Department as one of our advisors, and Lynn Garrison, we may have met in the back corner there. And a Halton Region Planning Services Division, Gina Ali is a planner who's, again, acting in as an advisory role, and I think Sterling's over here, who is also providing support to us and has lots of materials from Halton Region here today. Oakville, I mentioned the Sustainable Food Partnership. The Ontario Agri-Food Education folks are represented by Jan Robertson. They're really in the business of producing materials to support farm-to-school programs, educating children about agriculture and food, where our food comes from. And this is really important, as we find more and more today that kids think foods come out of a box. They don't really identify with potatoes coming from the field and foods that are grown. And so it's really important for organizations such as this to help with the development of educational resources for our students. And our last representative is Charlotte Young from Refresh Foods and Food for Life. Refresh Foods is a food redistribution center. They provide food to over 30 different food food banks and food agencies in Halton. They take food that they get donated that food banks themselves can't store because they may not have the refrigerator space or the space to keep it, and they redistribute it. For instance, if a yogurt company has a large shipment of yogurt that they are willing to donate, we would have that space in our fridge to keep that, and it's redistributed to one of the many partners involved with Refresh Foods. So that's the council. As I said, we're more of a networking council at this point, but also a planning council. We're starting to make plans for what needs to happen in our community to support local food systems in our area. So we just had a charter that we have completed. It's gone up for review by all our members and by the community. It was posted in the community papers recently. This is the charter that we're presenting to the community. We're hoping to have it endorsed by our Halton Region Council in the upcoming months. But basically, our vision of our vision with the charter is to have all residents having access to adequate, safe, nutritious, and culturally acceptable foods, and that there is a fair and sustainable food system. That means local foods are available and promoted, local agricultural lands and farmers are protected and supported, urban agriculture is encouraged, and food has been produced and distributed in an environmentally acceptable way. So this is a whole food system. It's not just one piece, it's the whole food system that we're interested in. And as I mentioned earlier, food is a tremendously important part of our whole heritage and culture. We're living in prime farmland here. We have had a history of being apple growers, pear growers, berry growers. We had dairy farming. Unfortunately, a lot of our farms are dwindling in terms of those that have livestock, but we still are very much in the business of producing fruits and vegetables in this community. So our goal, the goal is to increase awareness of food system issues and opportunities within Halton Region and to communicate these with a common voice to promote action. So ultimately, we are looking for moving forwards with some actions coming out of the council and with the support of all of the groups that I've mentioned and many others who aren't actually on the council but who are linked through our various networks. So some of the outcomes are really emphasizing the importance of local foods and the local sustainable food system. I don't want to go through each of these, but I think you'll get the point as you hear the presentations from our local food producers, the importance of some of the outcomes of a food charter. So just to give you an update on where we've come from, our council was actually established after our April 2009 forum, which was held in Milton. And I know quite a few people here were at that event. Two of the key issues that came out of that event was that we needed to address food for low-income families and support for local agriculture. So one of the things that we did after we formed the council in November 2009 was to work on the food charter, but to also work on a community food assessment. And if you haven't picked it up already, Lynn Garrison in the back corner is handing out the results of our community food assessment. And it's a really good starting point for our community to know what are the key issues facing our Halton these days. For instance, we know that food insecurity exists in Halton. And people think of Halton as a very well-off community, and yet a lot of people don't realize that we have a lot of food insecurity. We have poverty in our community. We have people that cannot afford a nutritious diet. And so we have done that research. We know where the areas in our communities are that need some support, whether that support is through our free fresh food boxes, whether the support is from school nutrition programs, whether it's community gardens. All of these programs can help service the higher need areas. We know that low income and food insecurity lead to health issues, so that's one of the reasons we're really concerned about food insecurity in Halton. We want to contain healthcare costs, but we also want people to eat well so that they can enjoy life, that our kids can learn well. There's all kinds of reasons for that. As I mentioned, agriculture in Halton has changed over the years. 100 years ago, we were largely rural and agricultural. And we know that the average farm size in Halton has increased, but we do know that the number of farms has gone down. We do know that more farmland in Halton is rented than in other parts of Ontario. And we do know that our farmers are aging and that their children are not as keen to take over the family farms. We've got issues with keeping the farming in our community. So agriculture does remain a vital part of our economy, and in 2006 we found that we were 5th in the province for gross farmer seeds. So it's still a very important economic indicator for us here in Halton to maintain our farming operations. The other thing our Halton Community Food Assessment looked at was all the different kinds of programs and services that we have available in our community, and I encourage you to go to the website to download our document that reviews all of the programs. So I've just highlighted a few things here related to farms and farmers markets and community gardens. We have over 15 pick-your-own farms within Halton, 5 farms that provide tours. We have farmers markets in over 8 of our communities. I'm sure that's an underestimate. We weren't able to collect data on absolutely everything, so we may have missed a few along the way. And community gardens is something that's very much growing in Halton, with over 10 neighborhoods now having a community garden. Some of them are rented plots through the municipalities, like Oakville has rental plots. We have a new community garden starting here in Central Park that Michelle and her group have been working hard to achieve that. And we have community gardens in some of our churches, and I know Jonathan's involved with one of those. And they are something that we're looking at starting hopefully in some of the school neighborhoods, because we find that we've got lots of land. We've got lots of space for community gardens. It's really just picking out where in those communities that we can put community gardens. Other opportunities exist for urban agriculture in Halton, such as urban orchards. You know, orchards in public places. And we have some good examples in other communities where we've seen just parks in the middle of downtown Toronto that have, 5 to 12, apple trees or plum trees, and they're actually starting to harvest those and using them in their community. So there's great examples of what can be done out there in terms of urban agriculture. So we had another forum in May 2011, and I'm sure some of the folks, I recognize some of the faces here from our forum. It was just held in May. And we did a priority setting exercise to see what was needed in our community. And the 3 items on the left side clearly surfaced as our top priorities. And that's a need for things like community kitchens or a community food center. We have very few examples of that in the Halton region. You might think of the Stop in Toronto, which is a community food center that has a food bank, a food education program. They have programs for mothers and tots. They have a chef training program. There's all kinds of examples of what a community food center could do. And so we're looking at some of the opportunities we might have in our 5 areas within Halton, which would be Oakville, Burlington, Acton, Halton Hills, Milton, to see where our existing community food centers are and where they can be developed even further to provide more services to our community. Community gardens, we have a vision that we'd like to see 1 community garden for every ward in Halton, and we're just exploring that, and whether it's realistic, whether that number is the right number, how achievable is that. And so we have 2 groups, each working on each of these issues, a group working on each of these issues to determine how best to serve our community with these initiatives. And local food system development is certainly an issue that the Food Council is going to be working on ongoing with the members that we have around our table. And running alongside with those issues were education, policy changes and development, and networking and knowledge exchange. And these are all things that the Council is going to continue to work on. Certainly educating and informing about what our activities are through our website, exchanging knowledge through our coming out to meetings such as this, through the Council, and through educational events which are going to be promoted in our community. We've got one coming up in November in Oakville on community gardens. So I think if you come up to this table here at the Oakville Sustainable Food Partnership, you'll see they're promoting an event in November about that. So, and And we'd like to do something on community food centers in the spring. So these kinds of things, we're hoping to share more information about what they are, what they can do, who they can serve, how they can function, and how you can even be involved in helping us do some of those projects. So I'm going to stop there because I've used up more than my time, but I really just wanted to share with you what the council has been working on. As I said, we've been together since 2009. We're slowly working to the point where we'd like to get to reviewing some policies that would help make sure that local foods are available in Halton, whether it's with regards to procurement, in public places, or whether it's regarding more gardens or whatever. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated on what's on the plans. And our website, I don't know if I included it anywhere, but it's haltonfoodcouncil.ca. So you can have a look at that. And also, if you pick up one of these handouts, we have the website listed on there as well.